This is Midland, Texas, tunnels and crime. I'm going to create a series of small videos to show you what I've seen here, and I think once I'm finished, then you'll be as convinced as I am of the existence of tunnels, and we might even have an idea of what they've been used for. I believe this is the biggest untold story in America right now. I bought this home in 2008. I closed on it about the 1st of November, end of October. October 31st was the first night that I spent in the home. When I first looked at this home with my realtor, I come through and I took pictures as we walked through. It was in bad shape, needed a lot of repair. And one thing that was interesting on that day, October 1st, 2008, was that the back door here, which you can this is a different back door here, it goes out to the garage, was perfectly fine. That picture is loaded on my Facebook right now. A month later, when I first spent the night here, there was a hole where the doorknob was. It was somebody had kicked this door in to get entry in this house. During that time, between October 1st and October 28th, the previous homeowner dies. And on October 12th, I was told that it was an accident. I never met the previous homeowners, and I didn't give that much credence. Since I've been shot and everything that's happened to me, I went back and checked, and I found 2 death certificates for him. I found where he died here at this house in Midland, and I have that posted on my Facebook. And I also found where he died in Fort Worth, and I can't figure out how he died in 2 places. And so it was real mysterious as far as I'm concerned as a previous homeowner's death, and I think how it relates to what has happened to me with my suspicion, or even I'm sure there's underground access somewhere under this house, and that's where I shot from. On November 9, 2010, about 2 years later after this, I lived here by myself and I was doing all the remodeling work. And one night I'm leaving and I noticed that something seems out of place. I can't place it. I'm the only one who lived here. And so what I did here was I squared up the throw rug by the back door. I'm going to show you here, okay? And I did this on purpose because I was leaving, and I know when you step on it, the rug gets crooked like this. And being the type of person I am, I don't like crooked rugs, okay? So what I did is I squared that rug up, perfectly square, right there, and now it looks right. And then I opened the back door, and I left, and then I come home about an hour later, and I open the door, and I look down, and the rug is off like this. So I was 100% absolutely sure that somebody had been in my house. That's what I'd suspected. I set a trap, and I caught them. I mean, there was no doubt. That was the first night on November 9th, 2010, that I called the police. The police come over. We found the sliding glass door open, which is in the living room for the front patio that had been closed for 6 months, never being open. But it was open that night, and I think the burglars that had been sneaking in my house, not stealing anything, but coming in my house, almost got caught on the first night. I kind of call that day one. That's when I became aware that people were breaking into this house. Once you figure out that somebody has come into your home, you feel violated. It's scary. It's a felony. They can go to prison for many years for it, and so it's dangerous. I mean, anybody that's committing crimes or committing felonies is dangerous, and you should take it serious. And I did take it serious once I knew somebody was breaking my house. The first thing I did was change all the locks in the house. I mean, immediately. I had just done that. It cost me $600 to go buy all new locks again. But not only did I change all the locks, I was setting up traps like the one you already seen with the rug on the back door. But there's many ways to do it to see if somebody was still getting in my house some way. And that's what I'm going to show you here this time. The first thing I did, you can do this with a matchstick. I got a toothpick here, and this is the way to see if your door has been open while you're gone. What you can do is take your little toothpick, and then you stick it in between the door and the door jamb, I can break it off. Nobody's ever going to notice it down there. It's stuck inside the door. Okay? And it's going to be stuck inside the door for the next 30 years until somebody opens the door. And so when I come home from work, I do that in the morning. I come home from work and I come in here and I look down, and if that matchstick or that toothpick's laying on the floor, I know that door's been open. So I know somebody's been in my house. Okay? So I think you got the part about that. The other thing you do is you take a little pebble, a little rock here. There's many ways to do it. And I can set this little pebble right there on that doorknob, and it's pretty inconspicuous. If somebody opened the door, they twist it, it falls off, I come home, that little rock's going to stay up there, and it's real tiny. It's going to stay up there for about 30 years until somebody opens that door. That's just another way. You could also use maybe a hair or whatever. But one time I put an acorn in front of the door. It rolls out of the way, I know somebody will come in the door. My number one way to figure out if somebody was coming in this house is what I figured out was these door stops right here. You can see it up there, and it keeps that door from banging against that wall, and it rotates. I rotate it till it touches the door. Shut the doors, okay? And I go and I check them all through the house. I do that every morning, and every time I come on lunch, I check them. And then I know if somebody come in here and they open this door like this, okay, you wouldn't think about it, and then they're done, and then they're going to close the door pretending that they hadn't been in my house, and they're going to lock it all back up, right? This doorstop rotated out, but it didn't rotate back in. You have to physically push it in. So I'd come home at work, and I look and go, that door had been open. And this door over here has been open. And I couldn't stop these people from breaking into my house. I'd take pictures in the morning, take pictures in the afternoon, so I could prove it to all these people. I got people breaking in my home. And so thus you see these locks right here, and more locks, right? And then I've got extra locks on here, which you might or might not be able to see. And then they're still getting in the door, and I can't figure out how to get in the door, so I'm drilling a hole and putting a pin in it, trying to figure out how they're getting in this door if everything's locked. But they were, okay? That's kind of the point. The other way they can get in is through the windows. I only got a few windows. I got the one patio door, and I got a few sliding windows that actually open where you can get in. And I'm literally blocking these doors even where a point where I'm using a bolt, because you can't pick a bolt, you know. You can pick a lock, but you can't pick a bolt. So I'm bolting it up by even padlocks, $30 padlocks, one door to get inside the whole house. That's the only door you can physically get in, and you ain't picking no lock. But I still got the windows, okay? Let me show you what I did on the windows, and it's going to be a little hard to see here because the light's coming in. There's my window. What I did was screwed a hole right here, and I put a screw from one window to the other window. That window don't come open, period. And then I went ahead and put another extra lock on top of that. So I mean, I've got these windows, they ain't coming in the windows. You know, that's all there is to it. And they ain't coming in the doors. That's part of the reason. See, I didn't originally think that somebody was coming in from a tunnel, that they dug and put some kind of underground access to this house. That is crazy. I'm kidding about that crazy part. But I really didn't think that it never entered my mind. They're getting in some other way that I don't know how they're getting in, but they're getting in. And so I went around for over a year before I ever come to the conclusion with systematic tests, with locking up, with verifying that they've been in the house, with making the evidence, taking the pictures and proving it. They're coming in some other way. It was another person that first suggested, do you think they're coming in from the floor? I thought, the floor, that's ridiculous. But there we go. Another way to get in is if you could somehow from the outside get into the attic. Because I got two doors from the attic that come down into the house. And they're not coming in doors and not coming in windows, and I'm not thinking about them coming in from the ground. Well, I got a whole year. So I've secured on these doors considerably. You're going to see here where I've got this piece of metal here bolted to the frame. Plus I have a lock, but I don't even trust locks. So I bolt it shut. And that's how I know that nobody is opening up this door and they're coming in somehow from maybe somewhere that there's a trap door or something on the roof side. They're getting on my roof, coming into my attic, and then coming down into my house from these doors. Well, I know they're not coming in that door. While I'm here in the garage, I want to show you this home right here. It might be hard to see. Right in the middle of this garage door, somebody took a hacksaw and cut it there and there. I've since repaired it and put supports inside here, changed the whole assembly out. But when I first moved here, when you take a 16-foot aluminum door and you cut it in the middle, then it's going to just bend like that. And you can stick your arm up there and you can grab this safety release right here that usually has a cord. Mine doesn't have a cord no more on it for a reason. And you pull that cord and you're in this house in about 30 seconds. And that's where I suspect, because that door was kicked out before I bought the house, if you remember I told you earlier, and possibly they come in through this garage because it was easy entrance. It was really rigged. It was truly, I've never seen nothing like it. They literally cut the door in half right here and made it where it would open up and you just stick your arm in there and grab the chain and then you were in this house. I've since fixed that and you know, I'm Mr. Security now. I mean, I don't even come to my garage unless I lock this lock here and then I hang that padlock on it too, just so they can't easily get in it. You know, if you're in a home, garage is number one access. I would secure that garage. Back to the door, I forgot something on the doors here, especially on the back doors. If you'll notice how much of a gap is in between this door here, I noticed it and I felt like more than normal, which would allow you to pry this door open and be in here. And so I spent a whole weekend building spacers that go behind the hinges right here. These are 1/8-inch spacers between these hinges on the other back door, this back door, and then the front door. It took me all weekend just to secure, because I thought I knew they were coming in the door and I didn't know how. And so I thought, well, maybe they're prying it open. And you can even see it. There's better than a 1/4-inch gap right now, and that's with them 1/4-inch spacers in it. I just wanted to mention all that work. The sliding glass patio door I mentioned earlier, I found it on day one, on that first night, and this was a possible entrance into the house, of course. And so, trying to secure this door right here, okay, is I noticed it. I was going out the front door over here one day, and I look over and I see it. There's a gap up here. Somebody took a hacksaw and cut this. The top of this off right here, and you can see where my finger's in there. And what that allows that to do, here's this lock over here on this side, and you could twist this off, and that lock comes out, boom, and then you're into this house, and it looks like it's locked up, but it's not. It's amazing. I mean, I was amazed. And so I drilled it and put a pin in it, and so pin this door to that door so you don't do that no more, and verified you're not coming in the patio door. This is the front door right here. By the time I got shot, which was 14 months after the first time I'd called the cops, police had been called many times in between, because I literally had break-ins and I could prove it. And this door was the only door that you could enter. I mean, I had all the other ones not just locked, but bolted shut. Or the garage was physically shut. I mean, I screwed it to the wall. You wasn't opening the garage door. I couldn't even use my own garage. I had one door you get in because I was trying to figure out how they're getting in. Once again, I had no concept or even imagine they're coming from the floor, but that's what they were doing. This is my other attic door, which is inside the house. It's in the hall closet, and I replaced this entire door with plywood, hinges back here. And once again, it's bolted shut. It was interesting. The first time I fixed it, I noticed it was broke here. Somebody had stepped on it, put some weight on it. And when I went up there to fix it, I could see somebody had fixed this before I fixed it. And so I was, I could tell they were coming actually using this door, but it was nothing but a piece of sheetrock up here into the attic. And now you see they can't get in here because I was systematically eliminating ways that they could enter my house because I knew the doors were being opened. Okay, I'm back in my bedroom here, and people have asked me, how do you sleep? Well, you got people breaking your house. I don't wish that on anybody. It's terrifying. There's 3 times that I've actually seen the burglars that come in this house, the home invaders, home intruders, whatever you want to call them. They're not stealing TVs, but they're stealing services, right? And so, and they're invading your privacy, and they're terrifying you, basically. They say, how do you sleep? Well, how do I sleep is I have a lock on this door, and if you see, it's literally bolted. I have a bolt I put in there, so you don't pick that lock. There ain't no lock picking in this home. you know, and I mean, you just don't. And you're not getting the hinges off. Once again, I got a door stop to see if it's open, and so that's how I sleep. Before I had these doors where it was bolted in here so I could sleep, one night I woke up and there was a person standing right next to me, real quietly going through my drawers. I think they were probably looking for keys at the time, and I'm not proud of it, but I froze. I pretended to be asleep while there's a person right next to me rifling through my doors. And this was in the beginning, which is, as you know, several years ago, and terrifying. I was scared to death. I'm outside now. I want to show you some things that I've done on the outside because thinking maybe they were coming in the roof some way. And I'm going to turn this camera so we look at the house here, and I'll talk about it. When I first bought the house, I noticed that there was damage behind the chimney, and a 2x6 was laying down. It was wrote up on the home inspection report. And so it was really strange, and I wondered if that was an entrance point. I had the roof inspectors or roof contractors over here twice to verify that nobody was crawling on top of my house and getting in some trap door up there that I didn't know about. And one of the things I did is I nailed right there where that aluminum siding is all the way around the house. That's not normal, and the roofing people will probably hate me for that when they change the roof out, but I did that so you couldn't pick this up if that was happening. I didn't know that. You can see my camera up there. Here's another possible entrance I thought about. It was like, there's a skylight. Well, okay, they might be coming in the skylight, dropping down, you know. They're coming in somehow, right? And so what I did was go up there and drill a hole in that frame, and I put that lock on there. You see that master lock on there? And then I locked it, and then I filled the lock full of Gorilla Glue. So I know they're not coming in the skylight, you know. Another thing, since I'm here on this side of the house, normally when you build a house, and I've got pictures of this on Facebook, is that your brick siding goes down to your slab, and it's above the ground level. Okay, I've dug that down, and it can go further. And for some reason, there's about a foot to a foot and a half dirt above the base of this house, which isn't code, because code says that you got to have weep holes for ventilation and such as this. But it was, you know, I was digging just to look, and I'm going, wow, these bricks just keep going to the ground. I don't even know how far they go into the ground. It was something else I noticed, that on the fences, because the fences seem real short for 6 foot tall fences. You can see right here. I'm like, that's kind of short, and so when I replace this one section right here, you can tell, and you can see, I can look right over that fence, and it's buried about a foot. Somebody brought a foot of dirt, foot and a half full of dirt, in this gigantic lawn and covered the entire thing, including up to the house. I've wondered if all that extra dirt didn't come from some basement building, you know. While I'm here, I took this picture the other day, but you can see how close that is, and you can see where the foundation there in the middle of that support column, it looks like there's a row of bricks. They're missing all the way to the other side over there. And I wondered if that one tunneled over, and that telephone pole looks like it got hit by a backhoe. Over here on this telephone pole down there is the one that has the cable connection that nobody knows where it goes. This is the west side of my yard. And I was actually shot over here, of course underground. I was shot from 2 and 3/4 inches above ground level, and I'll get into that in another video. But I want to show you this side over here, because we'd been writing about it on Facebook. Right after I moved into this house, weeds were waist deep, and of course I mowed it and everything. But that first 6 months, I noticed this death smell on this side of the house, on the west side, and this is the side that I was shot from. And but I didn't know if the previous homeowner died here or not, you know. And of course, as I said a while ago, he's died in 2 different places. But anyways, the other thing I seen was over here, somewhere around this area over here, was about half buried pile of, looked like cut up clothes, you know, which is weird. But you got to remember, like I said, the other homeowner died. I even walked around this neighbor's house over here worrying that she died, you know, because I could smell this death smell. Every time it'd warm up, I could smell a death smell over here. Well, 4 years later, after I got shot from right over there, okay, on the inside, of course, I'm thinking about the death smell, and I'm thinking about the cut-up clothes, and then I remember there's a guy in Odessa that's missing since about 3 months before I bought this house, named Rini Escobar Sanchez. Okay, and they had a news story on News West 9. And it said, call Odessa Crime Stoppers if you got any tips. So I did, or I wrote Crime Stoppers, and I'm sure they got a record of it, and nothing. I just got ignored. And I told them, look, I've been shot over here. Here's a death smell. Here's these clothing fragments, and I'm gonna go just walking around. 6 years later, there's a clothing fragment right there. You can still find them in this yard. I thought this was a great place to look for clues to Rini Escobar Sanchez. Come dig it up. You might even find a tunnel, and you might even find, even a hidden basement, or find out clues to who shot me. But I was ignored, so I wrote them a second time, and this time they wrote back and said, you need to contact the Midland Police Department. And I said, well, I've already contacted Odessa, just like I was told to on TV. And so that's as far as I go. About a week later, they arrest this smiling guy that admits to murder. And you can see him if you Google for Rini Escobar Sanchez. You'll see him. And they do a big search off Moss Road in Odessa. This is 5 years after the guy's gone. Just a few weeks after I notify him. Okay, he's magically, this guy, and says I murdered him, and they can't find the body. Well, I'm sure the guy wasn't charged, right? Because they never found the body. I still wonder if Rini Escobar Sanchez is buried over here somewhere. I don't know that, but it seemed like a good lead to me.